You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchardstown Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
This is 92.5 Phoenix FM, community radio for Dublin 15.
Hey everybody, it's JB Jeremy Borash, and you are listening to Darrow O'Connor on the...
Welcome to the Wrestling Rewind, the only wrestling podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling.
Hello everybody, it is Phoenix 92.5 FM. This is the Wrestling Rewind. My name is Darrow O'Connor, and welcome to the show, folks. It's been a while. This is, of course, the show just before Elimination Chamber, if you're listening to this in sequence, but it doesn't matter because we're not going to talk about it, because we decided, hey, by the time the show goes out, it has already happened. So we will talk about that the week after it happens, so next week, but this is completely out of sequence, so there you go. If you're wondering, that's why. We're going to talk about something a lot more fun, something that was really cool, and probably one of the best episodes of Raw I've ever seen. It's from 1999. We're going to jump straight back into the time machine. But I'm not alone. I am joined by the one, the only, the undefeated Mr. Martin Hardy. How are things, Martin?
Grand, Dara. I've had a bit of trouble with sciatica the past couple of weeks, so I've gotten mad into Pilates and yoga. So I'm a full yogi now, walking around barefoot and eating tofu and smelling my own farts.
You can be like Rob Van Dam, though. You can get like super high head kicks eventually.
With enough training, I think I can do the splits between the two chairs that he used to do. So yeah,
you know what? That needs to be like your party trick now, and you can send it. To Punk and be like, Punk, can you do this? I can, and then there you go.
I'll really wind him up. I'll send him a video of me doing the buckshot lariat without landing on my arse.
Oh man! Actually, real quick before we get into the time machine, did you hear the rumors that apparently he's going to be back by June?
I have heard. Yes, I've heard all sorts. I've heard, but it's like all the other stuff that happened with Punk in the past. Like, yeah, you'll hear one article from one website or one podcast or wherever that'll say something, and then the algorithm will give you the very next video, and the very next video is saying something different. And the thing with AEW as well is that I try as best I can, like obviously apart from whenever we're reviewing shows, I try as best I can to sort of filter out all the backstage stuff, because I love the product so much that if Punk shows up, I haven't seen this week's Dynamite yet. I'm going to stick it on tomorrow. Right. But if Punk shows up some Wednesday night, I want to be surprised, hit smack in the face with that.
Martin, you know what we should do? We should set up two websites. One that reports one side of the news, and the other that reports the complete opposite side, and get the chatbot, the new AI, to write the articles, and then just put advertising on it. There we go, man.
Yeah, we get the chatbot to do it'll analyze all the articles, but because all the articles are contradictory, every headline will just be nothing has happened. Nothing has occurred.
It'll be like CM Punk to return. Rumors that CM Punk is going to return are greatly exaggerated. And just have them on the two websites. It'd be amazing. There we go, man. We could be the entire wrestling media ourselves. There we go, folks. I'm telling you. AI could happen.
It's it's these kind of it's that kind of spitballing and brainstorming that's where you get things like Microsoft and Facebook and all that from. So I'm with it. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Actually, I don't know if you read Batman Incorporated, but in the early run of Batman Incorporated, Grant Morrison was writing it, and that's what Bruce Wayne did. He would fund conspiracy sites saying that Bruce Wayne was Batman, himself. So nobody would believe it. And I'm like, that's actually really clever. So, yeah, I mean, that's where I got the idea, because everything is comics.
Before we jump into Raw, I think I would just love to share with everyone, while we're on the subject, just how excited Dara got with the new reveal of Michael Keaton returning as Batman.
Oh, stop. The best ever. I'm like, yeah, I know people are like, Ezra Miller is kind of a monster, and that's true. I mean, the person has been charged with some heinous things. However, Michael Keaton's back as Batman.
That every single person had the exact same reaction to that trailer. It's like, oh, The Flash. I never really watched it. Heard some dodgy stuff about Ezra Miller. It just looks like another DC, MCU. But what the hell is that? Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's back. It's the best movie ever.
Sorry. And everything's forgotten. You're like, I don't care what about it.
God.
It's like, you just do not care. You're like, Michael, I need all the Michael Keaton as Batman. That's it. I just want a series of movies, just constantly, just every, that's all I want. That's all I've ever wanted. Honestly. I mean, man, you caught me off guard with this. Completely caught me off guard with this. I'm so excited for it. I can't wait.
And do you know what? It was a genius move, because like, I haven't seen, I couldn't even tell you the last MCU movie I saw. I'm just bored of them by now. And DC, while I like the darker tone, the movies just always end up being really weird messes. So I haven't seen a lot of those either, but this has even got me excited about seeing a Flash movie. So it was a good move.
It was. And it, like, I don't know, everything I just see about it, I'm like, Warner Brothers made them. I know this is a wrestling podcast, guys. I'm sorry, but Warner Brothers made a mistake. They should have just had Michael Keaton the whole time. Like, he just is Batman. Like, because I mean, I know, like pretty much anyone they picked as Batman, with the exception of George Clooney, he's terrible choice. But everyone they picked has brought something to the table. Like, they've been a better Bruce Wayne or better Batman, but Michael Keaton's the only guy who's done it, who, like, even as Bruce Wayne, you're like, oh, there's something there. Like, there's a darkness that, and he just gets it. And I'm like, man, this is going to be unreal. I mean, even if it's terrible, I don't think it will be. I'm still like, I want all of this.
Oh, yeah, it's already a success.
Yeah. Because I saw the new MCU movie, and you're right. I mein, it was grand. It was basically a Star Wars movie, though. They just made Star Wars in miniature, and yeah, I'm like, yeah, okay, I just want Batman. That's. So yeah, I mean, there we go. This has been the Batman podcast, folks. We hope you're happy.
that concludes the Batman podcast.
That concludes the Batman podcast. But yeah, I mean, when that comes out, we'll have to talk about it, I think, because it's going to be amazing. But yeah, I have to give Warner Brothers credit, because they managed to, like, win over everybody. Everyone's like, with Ezra Miller going, oh, geez, maybe they should sack them. It's kind of hairy there, and allegedly kidnapping people and etc. etc. But
Michael Keaton as Batman, they could have had Harvey Weinstein playing the Flash.
Yeah, and you wouldn't care. People would have been like, we're gonna watch it. I'm gonna go see it 6 times. Legitimately, I probably will see it 6 times. But I don't know. I just can't wait. So look, let's move on. Let's hop in the time machine, Martin, because it's been a while. We have to dust it off, get all the cups out. When you go into your mate's car and there's just cups everywhere, and you're like, what? What are you doing? Use the bin. So obviously someone was living in the time machine, so we got to kick all the cups out and clean it and stuff like that. So we're ready to get into it now, and we're going all the way back to March 1st, 1999. 4 weeks away from WrestleMania 15, which wasn't good.
We're getting there. I know, and I know it wasn't good. Like, I even know, just obviously, because I've seen it. But man, there's it's. I don't think, as a wrestling fan, no matter what the Fed does, it's hard to get over that wee bit of WrestleMania buzz. It's like,
see, that's what I'm saying to you. I'm getting properly hyped for WrestleMania. I've seen, like, not 100 times. I've seen it at least 25 times, right? And I'm like, I know what happens. I know it's not great. It has some really cool moments in it, but I'm like, whoa, I'm properly like jazzed for this. This is going to be cool. The Gund Arena is a weird name. That's where we're coming from, Cleveland, Ohio. And yeah, so we're nearly there. We're nearly at WrestleMania. And damn, this was a doozy. Because when I was looking at the card, because I normally don't look at the card because I don't want to spoil the show for myself. But I watched this like today when I got home because I was just like, I thought we were going to talk about Elimination Chamber. So I was like, right, let's see if this is going to be good, or can I skip things? I'm like, wait, hold on. The Road Dogg has a WWF Championship match? What? So I was like, the Road Dogg has a WWF Championship match? What? Like, I
and then as soon as it's over, he goes right back where he belongs.
Yeah, but like it's this like intricate narrative that carries through like most of the rest of the show, and it's like, okay, wasn't even expecting it. So this show is just a colossal mess, right? Every match, with the exception of two matches, pretty much ends in some kind of DQ or count out.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Like no DQ matches end in DQ. Like, how do you have a count out in a triple threat? But they managed it. But it's like you say, the whole vibe of the show was so buzzing, so hot, nobody cared.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's just like okay, I don't want to do this because I think this is reductive. But if this was a card, these results, not the card obviously, but these results were on Raw now in 2023.
Oh yeah, you take a dump on it from a house.
Oh my god, people would be like, I'm never watching it again. This is terrible. I'm going to tweet about it for days. But like, I was just like, it doesn't matter. I had a great time. And I did. It was brilliant. In fact, what happens again, watching these shows, I want to watch the next one immediately to find out what happens. It's like, Netflix needs to buy WWE. I'm sorry. It's the most bingeable thing on the planet. Like good WWE, not the the glow in the dark Mountain Dew thing. That was like awful. But this was just, I don't know, a masterwork. So where do you want to start with this, Martin? Do you have any thoughts before we go into it? Do you have any expectations? Because I know you were disappointed by the last one we did. So what do you think?
Well, yeah. Well, look, it wasn't that I was like hugely disappointed. I think it was just because the first couple episodes we watched just really took me by surprise. Like I was really taken right back to that time period and really enjoyed them. And it wasn't that the last episode was bad. It was just that it felt like all the stories for WrestleMania were kind of peaking, but they were still 4 or 5 weeks away. So it just felt like there was a wee bit of wheel spinning going on. That's I didn't want to be sound like I was being down on it. In terms of this episode, yeah, same as yourself. Like the matches aren't much to talk about, but just the whole vibe of the show, the constant, like the crowd is hot for everything. The ludicrousness of Road Dogg taking on The Rock for the world title. But where I would start with this show is the lights come on, the fireworks go down, the camera pans around to the crowd, camera comes back right up the top of the ramp, and you can very clearly see, I don't know if they did it on purpose, like as a rib, but you can very clearly see this fan holding a huge sign that says Road Dogg fears sobriety.
Oh my god, I missed that one. There were some good signs in it. Well, good. I mean, I use facetiously signs that we will have to comment on because of how.
Oh man, I'm telling you, our idea for a coffee table book of just signs fans in the 90s held up is. I think it's a winner.
I think it's an absolute winner. A thing that every wrestling fan needs to have.
Yeah, we'll need to do maybe a sort of a mature and a PG version, particularly for some of the WCW shows in the 90s. The WCW fans really, once they got pen and paper, they really let rip.
They really went in hard, yeah. So look, yeah, the show kind of starts. It starts off slow, and it kind of like most of these actually, and even like, well, I mean, it's like the Raw format for years. Starts off with a Vince McMahon promo.
Yep.
But this kind of set up the whole night. So, what were your thoughts on this, and what did it kind of set up?
I mean, look, it's getting harder and harder, to separate Vince from all the stuff that's been coming out. But like, there's one thing you can't say about the man. You cannot say that when he got in a mic in his hand, he was not engaging, he was not captivating, he was not really, really. He walked such a fine balance between completely believable and entirely cartoonish. So this was typical Vince, and yeah, I mean it's Vince McMahon coming out doing the whole "you're fired" gimmick in 1999. Like, loved it.
I have to say, one of the weird things about it though was they were doing the corporation thing very heavily at this point.
Yeah.
But they also had the ministry, so it wasn't a corporate ministry yet. And going back to watch this, I was shocked how interlinked they were, but they also weren't. You know, like there's still the higher power thing, which we'll get to probably in this run at some point. But like, it's weird because you have Kane, who is feuding with the Undertaker. You have Boss Man who's feuding with the Undertaker, and then you have the Undertaker who isn't friends with Austin, but isn't friends with Austin, who also feuds with Mankind, who doesn't feud with Mankind. And you're like, what is going on? To the point that later on in the night, Vince is on commentary and he says Mankind's going to join the corporation out of nowhere, and you're like, even even King is like, what? That doesn't make any sense. And he's like, and then Vince is like, oh well, you don't know what to expect in the WWE, and I'm like, okay, you've gone a bit far here. This is ridiculous. So that's kind of where we are with the anytime they're coming out. The group kind of grows and swells, and then but it really is faction warfare. That kind of is the mood that having the corporation come out, and I think that was kind of lost, that whole way of cutting a promo. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it never got to the levels of NWO. Like, you just, it expanded beyond its own ability to stay up. But yeah, you can see where it's getting a bit muddled. One thing I didn't like about it is here is where you can sort of see the start of the Kane character really becoming much, much less special. Like, from one of the best debuts ever, I think that character should have been really, really protected, even if that means paying the dude a full-time salary and only using him 2 or 3 times a year. You can start to see here where that character's, it's losing the sort of killer monster edge.
Yeah, well, they were changing the character. They're changing it to the insane asylum kind of, which I think is although, to be fair, here's the thing, and I know you didn't get exposed to TNA, but if it wasn't for this part, it wasn't for
and that's it. You never see TNA. You're only ever exposed.
If it wasn't for this run of Kane, Abyss wouldn't have a career, because Abyss just took this part of Kane and ran with it, and that was his character. So I mean, something good came out of it. Well, something good came out of it. I'm gonna stick with that. I like Abyss. Abyss was great.
I think it's just because I have such nostalgia for that initial Kane character.
It's gotta be Kane.
Yeah. I think it's just that I have such nostalgia for that, and the fact that because we're looking at it in hindsight, we know that this is the start of a long, slow descent into the mayor of Knoxbridge.
I mean, that's not necessarily totally fair, man. I mean, he has a couple of good years left.
I mean, no, like he does. I just again, like, yeah, I think that character got I think that should have been really retained and used very sparsely.
Yeah.
But again, it's 1999. If somebody's over, you're not going to hate them. Somebody's over, you're bringing them out. And like a lot of stuff on this show was over. Kane's over,
everything's over.
The fire's over.
Yeah.
What it really hit for me was, and is I'm not jumping ahead, just only quickly mention it. Man, you hear about X-Pac heat and all, but X-Pac hits the Bronco Buster in this, and the place nearly erupts. Like everything is over.
Everything. No, we'll get to it. I'm going to No, Public Enemy were over. I don't know how they were over, but I mean,
as much as they could be.
But I was just kind of shocked that the matches on this were made, because like some of these matches will have a payoff at WrestleMania. They are surprisingly giving people physical altercations, particularly in the hardcore division, where it's like you basically have a hardcore match that goes on all night. Val Venus has a match with Ken Shamrock and Goldust, and you're like, oh, okay, right. So that surprised me a great deal. I know I jumped ahead a little bit, but are you a fan of seeing like pay-per-view feuds on a Raw?
Well, I mean, it depends how it's done, but I think the hardcore example you use there is a good one, because I quite like that for the hardcore division. 10 solid minutes of two lads walking around hitting each other's with bins doesn't really do it for me. But if you intersperse spots over the course of the night, do you remember we watched, can't remember which WCW pay-per-view it was, but they basically had this big, like 20-man hardcore fight in a car breaker's yard.
Yeah, it was like a junkyard dog match.
Yeah, and we were like, that was too much all at once in a row. But if they had broken that up by spots over the course of the whole evening, and that's what this felt more like. So I quite enjoyed this. What I loved was the first match, the Goldust Shamrock Val Venus triple threat. I love that they're continuing with this story of Ken Shamrock getting really angry over his sister consensually kissing people. Like
no, okay, but before we get to that, though, right? Before we get to that, because that's a very good place to start. Hold on 1 second. So after the big in-ring promo where they kind of set up a lot of things. Basically, The Rock's going to face the Road Dogg, which I can't believe he had the world title match. I can't believe I'm only finding this out just now. This is incredible.
If you had told me 1999 Raw, you have 100 guesses who The Rock had a world title match with, not if I had 500 guesses, would I have gotten the Road Dogg?
Yeah, like, I mean, The Rock at his most over as a heel goes against the Road Dogg, and we'll get to the match because there's a lot to say. But so we figured that out. Kane is going to go against Austin, and Kane has to win, or else he's out of corporation and gets sent to the mental asylum. So these are things that we kind of know. And Mankind's going against the Undertaker, right? So these are all things we know from that promo. So obviously it sets up a lot. There's a lot going on, and the whole night is in motion. Then it cuts to Michael Cole and oh my god. I just stopped it at the part and it's like there's a sign in the back where it says D'Lo likes men, and it's at the hard camera. It's at the hard camera behind Michael Cole, and it's like 1999 WWE. Like it really is
that's one of the tamer ones.
That's one of the tamer.
That's one of the more tactful ones.
I'm like, what possessed you to, like, I don't know. We have to do this book, man. We have to. Anyway, so after that, it cuts to the backstage, and I think it's Val Venus. It's not Val Venus's locker room. It's someone's locker room, and Ryan Shamrock walks out, and she like pulls her dress down, and I'm like, man, they're really, really, really making this woman. They're giving her a hard time, as far as you said, full on consent, and it's just winding up Ken Shamrock. and it's very creepy.
Yeah,
it's worse every week.
It's getting so strange. It's like, why are you attacking these men that your sister is consensually seeing? Like this is starting to look very weird on you. You know, there's a Facebook group called what is it? It's fathers being incestually possessive of their daughter's virginity, and it's like pictures of. Do you know when you see prom night in America, and the girl will be going out to prom, and before she goes out, she gets a picture with the family, and it's like her father and her 3 older brothers, and they're all there with like shotguns and rifles.
Jeez.
So I get that vibe from Ken Shamrock.
Oh man, so
like, nobody can be with my sister but me.
And then in real life he was, because they're not brother and sister.
Yeah, just to make the whole thing even more ridiculous. In real life, that's his wife.
Yep.
So imagine you're a big WWF fan, and then you go out for dinner one night, and you see Shamrock laying the moves on his sister.
And you're like, oh, this makes so much sense now. Oh man, I love Ken Shamrock. This whole thing just gives me the ick, you know, where I'm like, I hate this. This is just, it's gross. But there is a backstage segment with Billy Gunn. So the storyline is that Billy Gunn has pneumonia.
Yes.
For reasons. They don't explain where he got it. He just has pneumonia. And I don't know if you've ever had pneumonia before. It's not fun. He looks fine. Does not have pneumonia.
I wonder what the reason was.
They probably just needed him a week off so they could tell the story, because it takes up the rest of the show. Or it plays into what would happen with Road Dogg as well. So because he couldn't be there with the Road Dogg, and you know.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
But he cuts this really weak sauce promo / conversation with the doctor, and he's like, "Doc, I don't care what you say about my lungs. I need to compete for the WWE Championship." And you're like, I'm sorry, the doctor does not care about this at all, because they don't, you know, it's just.
Yeah, you're cutting a promo on the doctor.
On the doctor, yeah. And
the doctor's there like, who is this for? I'm just giving you medical advice.
I can't do anything. What do you want from me?
I've had my neck broken. I've fought with my back broken. I've had bruised ribs and I've gotten the ring. The doctor's like, I don't recommend any of that. You shouldn't be doing any of this.
Go home and relax.
Go home. Yeah. Get a hot water bottle and a Lemsip.
But I mean, here's the thing. He's in the building, right? So
in his gear.
So I'm like, he could still come out if he wants to, and he just doesn't. Like, poor Road Dogg gets battered, and he's like, he's fine. He'll be grand. So where did he go? He doesn't say he went home or he left, did he?
He had enough energy to make it to the building and to get into his gear, but not enough energy to just walk down the ramp and swing a chair.
No, he had enough time to make it to the building, get in his gear, cut a promo on the doctor, fight with the doctor, and then leave. And I'm like, man, if you had pneumonia, you'd be in the bed. Like, you wouldn't be getting up. But sure, look, it was a terrible promo, and Billy Gunn cannot act. So
he's so much better today. He is absolutely.
He has a much more unfortunate name now.
Listen, if wrestling's about getting over, they got Scissor Me Daddy Ass. They got that over. So,
oh Lord, you know, I'm so glad this show has passed the watershed. I really am. I really am. Anyway, Goldust comes out for his match with Val Venus and Ken Shamrock. So Ken Shamrock obviously was out first, and they kind of go back to what happened last week, where the Blue Mini showed up and attacked Val Venus. So this is for the Intercontinental Championship title. By the way, I didn't notice the shirt that Blue Mini was wearing last week, where it was like him as a South Park character. He was ahead of that trend. That would not be a thing for a couple of years later, where you could make your own South Park character. So, fair play.
Yeah, fair. Here, Blue Meanie, you know, for a guy who wasn't most athletic or the toughest or best promo or anything, like, he did enough that he made himself a career in the the top end of wrestling. You know, like you're talking about all the active wrestlers out there. Maybe 1% of them ever really make it to the top. And fair play to the Blue Meanie. He made a niche for himself.
He's still around. He debuted on AEW, didn't he? Like recently.
He debuted. I remember him being in like.
He was on Dark, I think.
Yeah, I remember him being in like a BTE skit and stuff like that.
Oh, so I just saw a sign there. It was Val Penis, and I don't think that fan understood that that's the joke.
What the joke? Yeah, that's brilliant.
Well done. The joke completely went past you. Good job. That was brilliant.
You just know that they'd been like watching him for years and then we're sitting watching Raw one night and it just hit them. Oh my God.
They're like, oh, I have the best idea for a sign. Quick, pass me my notepad and my markers. So yeah, look, this match it's a nut match. It's like 3.5 minutes. Ryan Shamrock comes out again, and the whole time Jerry Lawler is losing his mind over the whole thing. Again, this fan is running up and down with the sign, because I'm playing it here again as we're talking, and it's a woman too. So well, there we go. Yeah. So she's very, very proud of that sign.
Val was over. Like
Val was over
when he came out and he did the "Hello, ladies." I mean, there was a lot of women in the audience legitimately into that. Oh yeah, no, I mean,
here's the thing: like every time, everything in that they did because it was over. But sorry, I'm so blown away by the fact that woman missed that joke so hard. She brought a sign to Raw. Okay, so yeah, like this match was a bit of a nothing match. Ryan Shamrock comes out, doesn't really get involved in the situation because it is a count out. Basically, this match just kind of goes on for a little while. It's not a Mac Classic. There's one or two interesting moments in it. The Blue Meanie is out the back as well. So this is just a setup to get to WrestleMania.
Yeah,
that's all this is. It's nothing else.
Yeah.
And keep the feud going as well.
And I know, like we've talked about, this era of Raw, the matches aren't really what's important. It's kind of the vibe and the momentum and just the hijinks of an exciting, ridiculous television program going on. And I am giving it a pass, but my God, it was tough to give a pass to a count out in a triple threat.
Goldust, it turns out, twist, it turns out Goldust is the new lover of Ryan Shamrock. So Ryan has made her way through Val Venus, briefly Billy Gunn, and now Goldust, who is, his whole gimmick is, his whole gimmick is that, yeah. So I'm like,
did you ever hear the story of when Dustin Rhodes accepted being Goldust?
No.
He was like, Vince called him up and he says, "All right, pal, we got a great gimmick for you. It's going to push a lot of buttons, but it's going to be really hot. It's going to be an androgynous gimmick. Are you okay doing an androgynous gimmick?" And Dustin Rhodes says, "Yeah, no bother. That sounds great. I'm well up for it." And he says as soon as he hung up the phone, the first thing he did was get a dictionary and look up what androgynous meant.
Oh God. Well, he made it work. It's his most successful gimmick. But here's the thing, right? The only reason why I'll let the count out thing go. Two of them did actually leave and fight to the outside. Now remember, Ken Shamrock had a chance to win his belt back. Got so upset that Goldust kissed his sister consensually that he left the building with Goldust to fight him.
Like, there's the interesting angle. Why is he so upset? Like, that's the story I want to know. Yeah, that's what I want to know. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So the match,
main event WrestleMania: Ken Shamrock battling with his feelings for his own sister.
They should have brought in Jerry Springer then. So Billy Gunn does eventually come out and attack him at the end of this match. Remember, the man with pneumonia, he does eventually attack him, and then we don't see him for the rest of the night, despite the fact that his mate gets battered in the back in a little while. So, oh Billy, silly Billy. So from there we have the old school Chef Boyardee.
Oh, I literally have it down here as a note that I wanted to bring it up in case you skipped on to the next section. These are terrible. I love them.
No, I mean, I remember seeing that as a kid and it was everywhere. So it's just kind of crazy to see it. Like, I do like that they kept some of the ads on the network, that they didn't just remove everything.
Yeah, I love the WWE specific ones. I like that they keep them in. That's yeah. I don't need to sit through 20 minutes of ads for Verizon, but I very happily watch Mankind, talking about Chef Boyardee's pasta sauce.
So what's coming up next is very interesting because it was the topic of our Christmas New Year special. JR comes back and he is very upset. It's heel JR as well. It's not even like proper JR. It's heel JR to talk about Bart Gunn. And obviously, as we know, Bart Gunn was the winner of the Brawl for All. And last week he had gotten attacked. So he's here to talk about what happened last week. JR isn't wearing his hat, which is always interesting, but you could see in his face how upset he is, because it's like, you ruined my best mate's chance here by winning the Brawl for All. So I mean, a lot of people probably forget this era of JR. What did you think about this promo or this segment?
So I was very unsure about this segment. So I get why they brought JR in, because he was like legitimate friends with Dr. Death. I don't know how I feel about announcers being part of the show. And also, this is very soon after his latest bout with Bell's palsy. And you can very clearly see it in his face and in his slurring of his words. And I don't know, just the way like WWE kind of treated him pretty poorly around that whole thing, like with the do skits mocking it and all. And I've read his book Under the Black Hat, where he talks about how him and his wife, that really, like, they were both genuinely upset by all that. So I don't know if maybe knowing all that kind of colored it a bit for me. But the segment as a whole was, I mean, it was grand. They're doing the best they can with the disaster that has been Brawl for All. It was. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, it was actually interesting to see Dr. Death show up, because, like, my recollection is that once Brawl for All was over, he was kind of just immediately dropped. So it's like new for me to see that he wasn't, that he continued at least in some fashion for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they did it. I wish they did a lot more with this, and it just shows you that they were building towards it, and they would actually. My recollection of this, again, because it's been a long time, JR actually does do a proper heel run with Dr. Death for a while. It just seems like once what happens at WrestleMania happens, which we talked about on our Christmas special, it kind of kills this whole thing dead. But Dr. Death is around for a little while before he goes to Japan. Yeah. So
look, Dr. Death could have been great.
Oh yeah,
like, legitimately, like he's got a real old school wrestler. Like, he looks like someone you wouldn't get on the wrong side of in a pub,
Absolutely, but I mean, it's proper legit,
So it's the whole thing with, like, again, and it's so weird for us, and we've done a whole show on this, so I won't labor the point, but it's so weird to watch this back and go, it is a work. There are so many advantages to wrestling being a work. You can do anything, and you did the one thing you shouldn't do.
Make it real. Don't make wrestling real. It ends badly.
None of us are tuning in to see a real fight.
No. So the next segment is basically a setup. It's a 5-minute setup for something that would happen later on in the night. It's Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart, who are the defending tag team champions, with Deborah, who comes out in a robe to set up something much later on in the night. Ends in a double DQ. So this is a tag team title match that ends up in a double DQ with Triple H and X-Pac, who, as you said, X-Pac is super over. And I don't think X-Pac's over. It's because he's in DX. DX is over. That's why this happened.
Do you know, you're right. DX is over and the Bronco Buster is over.
Yeah, X-Pac isn't over. I mean,
X-Pac. And that's, my God, that is so unfair. Because I don't know if it has happened or if it'll ever happen, but a legitimate best of DVD that would have wall-to-wall fantastic matches would be a best of Sean Waltman, because he was a fantastic wrestler. And I'm still, to this day, I'm kind of baffled by X-Pac heat.
I blame X Factor. The music, the Uncle Cracker music.
Oh God, yeah. And I mean, and it was the fact that because he was such a reliable hand, they kept he was on Raw and SmackDown and Heat and Shotgun Saturday Night and main event. Like, he was on everything, and also the wah. It's a bit grating. But
can I just say, this is my favorite Jeff Jarrett.
Oh well, do you know what? I would have agreed with you up until now, because I don't know if you've been keeping up with it, but Jeff Jarrett in AEW is fantastic. And I remember maybe 2 months ago when he debuted, you sort of texted me going, "Oh my God, this is a joke. I can't believe this. Haha." And I was like, "Oh no, this is a disaster." I am absolutely loving him in AEW.
Dude, I think Jeff Jarrett's great. He's always been completely underrated, like, legitimately. It just depends how you use him. That's the thing. And I mean, he's a great hand. Like, he is.
Do you know what
great,
I love about him? He is an absolute live the gimmick guy.
Yeah,
and
that's why it works. Yeah,
his gimmick is a total carny, and he lives it.
So the next segment, so there is a segment later on that so it's not the end of Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart. The next segment is a train wreck.
Well, but just before we get to that segment, this one ends with a kind of a interaction with Deborah. So what confuses me about this is, and this is something that happens with the divas all the time, like the divas in this era will come out to wrestle in what amounts to a bra and panties, and then someone will rip that off them and they'll be like, "Oh my God," and cover up and run away. So at the start of this match, Deborah comes out and she's threatening to disrobe. She's wearing her kind of like skimpy bathrobe, and she's threatening to take it off, and she's going to be like, "Ooh, you'll all love this." And then towards the end of it, she gets it ripped off her, and she's like, and covering up and running away. And it's just, but it's how women wrestlers in the 1990s, it's, what can you do?
It wasn't the only diva segment we had. Unfortunately, as bad as that segment was, and it was bad. Although it was kind of funny to see the tag belts being used that way to cover her up. I was like, "That's good thinking, Jeff. That's living the gimmick."
Yeah, maybe have a word with her beforehand. Hey, Deborah, perhaps don't wear underwear to the ring. Not don't wear underwear. I mean, don't wear just underwear.
Maybe reconsider before you go out. We are heels. People do not like us. They are going to try remove it. But yeah, so not the best idea to go out and wrestle now. But look, fair enough. It backfired. Obviously, she probably won't make that mistake again, which she will many times. But sure, look. The next segment wasn't even a match. It was just a thing that happened. Sable comes out. Ivory's there. Luna is cutting a promo.
Sable out once again, and sorry to labor this point, but once again promoting her Playboy shoot. Let's not forget that Mandy Rose was fired for having a very tame OnlyFans.
But I feel bad for Luna because she is, she got a really short end of the stick here.
She's the only wrestler in the ring.
Yeah, that's why she's the one that was taking all the bumps.
She was so good.
Sable cannot do a powerbomb as well, by the way. Just gonna say that.
No, and even when she's doing it there with Luna, like Luna's giving her everything. Luna's
it's not Luna. It's not her fault. It's 100% Sable.
Yeah.
So look, what we all came here to see happens next. The return in Road Dogg, who's super over, right? He has most of the signs. But no, again, sorry, hold on. I'm gonna correct myself. DX has most of the signs in the crowd. And he does his shtick in the ring. He's like, D-Generation X proudly presents to you, it's soon to be. And I'm like, don't say it. No, don't say it. No, come on. No, you can't commit to this. No one's going to buy it. And he says it. He's soon to be WWE Tag Team Champion. Tag Team Champion. No, I can't even say it. World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, there you go. See, my own brain rejects me even saying it because it's so silly. And I'm like, nah, man. And everyone in the crowd's like, no, you're not winning. There's no way you're winning. And it's just silly. I mean, The Rock comes. I have to say, The Rock never should have changed his gear. He looks like a killer when he comes out in that Rock gear with the half shirt and the sweatpants.
I think it worked for this match. So I'm not a huge fan of that Rock gear, but probably just because I'm so used to the iconic gear from other periods. But I think it really worked for this match because he's coming up against Road Dogg and he's like, I'm not even gonna.
I'm gonna proper change. I'm not even gonna take my shirt off.
Yeah. It's like I might take my watch off,
But that's
make sure I don't have my phone in my pocket.
But that's what it felt like. It felt like it was like, this is not even remotely fair. It's like The Rock is.
Do you know what? I'm glad that they did that and they weren't tempted to, let Road Dogg get some serious offense or like a near fall or something like that.
No, it's so one-sided that it's actually unfair.
Well, one thing
so unfair.
If I had one complaint about it is that, it's so one-sided and it bloody should be because it's Road Dogg versus The Rock. But at one stage, The Rock is like calling Paul White down to the ring. So he's still not Big Show yet, but he's like calling him down, going, "Come on, you got to help me." But I'm watching it going, man, you're whipping him. You're kicking the life out of him.
There's a multi-man sign that says,
you don't need help.
There's a multi-man sign at the beginning of the match that says, just hit the rock bottom. It took 6 people to hold up. It's such a silly sign.
Oh, God. Do you know what? Like, when you're on Twitter and that, you can really despair at wrestling fans, but stuff like that sometimes reminds you why they're just the best in the world.
It's so funny. But I agree. I mean, the Road Dogg, he gets like 3 moves in, and that's being very generous. And The Rock is just kicking the hell out of him. And then he just keeps hitting, like every time Road Dogg like reverse some immediate slam. And you're like, The Rock doesn't even need to be here. Why are you calling it Paul White? It just looks ridiculous. It's like, you got this. Like, you're fine.
And he does it like where there's like a moment where he motions to the back and Paul White comes down. So like you just sort of imagine in your head where The Rock's going out to have his match with Road Dogg, and before he does, he says, "Listen, Paul, things might get choppy out here for The Rock. So if I give you the signal, you come down and protect me from Road Dogg."
Like, it's so bad that like The Rock goes over and pulls Michael Cole's headset off, and he just starts cutting a promo on him, and you're like, yeah, we've seen this before many times, but the difference is like The Rock's been struggling. I don't even think he broke a sweat like at any point. He was just like, no, this is fine. Like, fair play to the Road Dogg. Like, at least he gave it a good college try, you know. But
well, listen, if Road Dogg, Jesse James had a world title match with The Rock, that's
end your career there, you know. I didn't even realize this was a thing that happened.
Yeah, I still don't agree with his assertion that he thinks he's a better wrestler than Bret Hart, but you know,
did Bret Hart have a match with The Rock?
Bret Hart actually did have a match.
Did he? Was it for the world title?
It was not for the world title, and it was with Rocky Maivia.
Oh.
But yeah, there is one match between Bret Hart and The Rock.
Yeah, I don't know. The Rock Bottom was pretty sick, though. He did like one of the best Rock Bottoms I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
on the Road Dogg. But you know, so the thing about the people's elbow, right, or the corporate elbow as it was called in this time, and he made it very clear to call it that because it's not called people's elbow yet. But the people love it, so he is very close to being a face. We're like a couple of months away from full on face.
He is like the fans are like
they want to cheer him so bad.
Desperate to cheer him.
They want to cheer him so bad, yeah.
When I was watching this, I don't know, I just had this imagery in my head of the fans as like a stampede, and Vince like just trying to hold them back for the turn, you know. But yeah, they're so on the verge of it here.
It's one of the people's elbow is a stupid move, right? But it's very rare you actually get to see why it's effective. This match actually captured it quite well because it's like the Rock Bottom is what finished the match. The people's elbow didn't finish the match. He was beaten by the Rock Bottom. The people's elbow is an insult.
The
and that's what it's supposed to be.
Is brilliant as a heel insult.
Yeah, it's
like
insult.
It's like Jericho's 1 foot pin, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it's very rare you actually get to see and this Rock is the only Rock that actually does it properly. Well, when he went heel again, he did it the same way. But it's like, no, the people's elbow isn't the finishing move. The Rock Bottom is. The people's elbow is an insult. So he can say he beat you with the people's elbow. It's an elbow drop. You're fine. Like, you know. But yeah, like this match, and then they're like, oh well, the headbutt from Paul White was. It's like, he didn't need it. He hadn't beaten. At no point did you ever think that The Rock was losing. It just was ridiculous.
I love that they didn't give him. They give him nothing. They didn't give him like anything even approaching like a 2 count or Did he even have a pin attempt?
No,
in the match?
She got 3 moves.
Good. That's 2 more serves.
The only he got a couple of punches. That was about it. And King lost his mind. He's like, "Oh, it's not a no hold barred match."
So yeah, as you say, Rock hits the Rock Bottom, drops the corporate elbow on him, and sends him right back to where he belongs.
The hardcore
title division.
And out walks Al Snow, immediately. Immediately he walks out.
Talk about from the tippy top of your career right back to Al Snow and the hardcore title.
So again, and it was so weird, he's still in the ring, holding his neck, and then Al Snow walks out and he's like, here, you know, I'm not okay with this. You know, you cost me my title shot, basically, because if you guys remember, there was a best of 3 series they were running. And because he got injured, they lost the title and then ended up going to Hardcore Holly. So he comes out with a chair and cuts a promo, and that ends up badly for Road Dogg, who catches a chair and then hits him with it. Then out walks Hardcore Holly.
Absolutely wild headshot.
Oh, it's completely unprotected.
Why? Not even
the chair legitimately bends to the point he has to kick it back into place and hit him again.
Not even the snaky throw the hands up, because you know what? I don't even mind when they throw the hands up, because it's like, yeah, if someone was swinging a chair at your head, that's what you would do.
Yep.
You would throw your hands up.
I
I don't think it ruins the the immersion of it. Like, I don't think it takes you out of the story whenever they put their hands up.
No, these lads just don't do it. They're like, nope, none of that for me, thanks. So what happens then is he picks up the mic and he's like, if you guys, basically he says in much more colourful terms, if you guys want to find me, you can backstage. But we're going to have to leave it there, folks, because we're just about to go into the internet only show. So Martin, this is just like in Raw. We're going to go to like the war zone, where all the lights get turned down.
We're going to get salacious.
Salacious. So does
Pants are coming off.
Oh God, please no.
Yes.
What are you going to put?
I love my girlfriend very much.
Oh,
very wonderful. We've been living together for a couple of years and tremendous relationship. But she is leaving. Like, it's her parents' anniversary or something tomorrow. She's away for the weekend, and I have the big TV and Metroid Prime and a bottle of whiskey, and I am just going to revert to my natural God-given state.
Well, he's in for a good time, but guys, if you want a good time, go over to thewrestlingrewind.com, the True Penny channel, Nerd to Know Media, any place that does podcasts, you'll be able to find the rest of this show where we're going to talk about the rest of this amazing episode of Raw, probably for another half an hour. And of course, it's, uncensored. You'll get this show uncensored, all the shows that we have, all gone all the way back. But if this is your first time checking us out, Phoenix 92.5 FM, thank you so much. Send us an email. Let us know what you think, what you want us to cover. Of course, you go over to wrestlingrewind.com. You can find all the links to contact us, to follow us on socials, etc. And Patreon, which we don't have, but we're going to keep plugging it because it's funny.
And remember, folks, whatever you do, even if she comes on to you, never kiss Ken Shamrock's sister.
Do not do it. Yeah, definitely not. Because he will give up his IC title match. And he will follow you out of the arena for some reason.
He will appear out of nowhere to attack you.
It's like Candyman. A bunch of kids are around and like, kiss Ken Shamrock's sister. Kiss Ken Shamrock's sister. And
even now, and the pair of them in their 60s, like, don't. That's
solid advice from Martin.
Ken Shamrock. So, like, in real life, they're married, and when Ken Shamrock's own grandchildren kiss their grandmother, he puts them in an ankle lock. So the old WWE music just hits, and that's it. He's in his zone. Dissociates.
Folks, if you want more of this, go over to Nerd to Know Media and go over to thewrestlingrewind.com. We'll be back after this short break.
You have nothing else to do on a Saturday? Do you like nerd things? Now check out Nerd to Know Basis here on Phoenix 92.5 FM, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then head over to nerdtoknowmedia.com for all of our shows as part of the Nerd to Know Media radio network.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.
Alright guys, we are back. If you survived the wrath of Ken Shamrock, welcome back.
What is it? Some advice for budding wrestlers is keep Will Smith's wife's name out your fucking mouth. Keep Ken Shamrock's sister's tongue out your fucking mouth.
Oh my god. So here's the thing, right? So we talked about with Dave a couple of weeks ago about the Mountain Dew fucking terrible shit show that we saw on Extreme Rules. No, not Extreme Rules. Sorry, it was Royal Rumble, which is even worse.
Royal Rumble.
So the advertising was kept in this show, right? And it's wild. There's one for the Coast Guard. showing the rescue of the week, and it's like a random clip from Heat. I'm like, they paid you money to show a random clip of a nut shot from Heat?
It wasn't even like a particularly good.
No, it was like a nut shot on a tombstone, and then some lad lifting a young fella out of like the water. I'm like, what a waste of money. Just show up at a shopping mall and go, here, join the Navy.
Yeah, but I do. That's the other bit of confusion I had was like, what are they advertising here?
The
Are they
Coast Guard.
advertising? Yeah, but are they advertising for you to join the Coast
Yeah.
Guard? Are they
Yeah.
advertising that the Coast Guard exists and that you should, if you're
Hold on, I'm gonna go.
you should
hold on,
call the Coast Guard?
Oh, that's a good point. It doesn't say. It just has
What
the
are they
number.
advertising?
It just has the. Oh my god! Yeah, that is confusing, Albert.
Is
You
it a
guys
fundraiser for the? Yeah, I just
properly failed here.
just didn't know. I didn't know what it was, but
I don't know. They made it look relatively cool though, but I don't think Coast Guard's like, it's a weird thing to advertise. I don't know. So the Road Dogg's hanging out backstage, and he breaks a mop, and then carries 2 bits of it, and then fucks the other side away. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna batter you," and then it cuts to the arena, and then you're thinking, "Oh, the Brood are coming out." And I looked at my card, and I'm like, "The Brood aren't here," and it turns out it was not the Brood. It's Rocco Rock and Flyboy. I don't remember what was Flyboy what. I don't know.
Oh no, I
can't remember him.
I'm confusing him with Blind Boy from the Rubber Bandits.
So they're Public Enemy anyway, and no one liked Public Enemy outside of ECW.
I'll tell you what, this was a great spot though. Them coming out as the Brood was.
It was funny. It was very funny.
It was,
and I think it's the most over they've ever been in WWE, because they weren't here for a long time. They were here for a good time, and they didn't get it.
They were here for a good time until the Acolytes got a hold of them.
And then the Acolytes killed them, and then they were gone back to the ECW, and that was that. But so basically what happens is they mock the Brood. The Brood, then their music hits, and one of them, it was the fatter one. What's his name?
The fatter one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hard to know.
So
Probably depends which angle you're looking at them.
That's true. So the one that doesn't have 69 on his back, he gets kidnapped, and
yeah.
And at the same time, then we get the real story that carries for the next couple of minutes, where it's Hardcore Holly and Road Dogg having not a match. They're just fighting backstage. They're just no belts are on the line. It's not a sanctioned match. They're just battering each other. My favorite spot in this whole thing, there's 2. One, the camera. So there's 2 parts of this, and it's glorious. And I encourage everybody to go back and watch it. One, you can see your man, not the 69 guy, the other guy, Flying Pete or something. I think that's his name, Flyboy Pete or something. I think that's his name. He runs back. You can see him running behind because he was too slow and the camera caught him as they cut back.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, oh, lads, what he's doing. You messed that up. So you can see him running away, and that was the funniest thing about the whole thing. And then there's another, like, those boxes. So Road Dogg gets thrown into boxes by Hardcore. And Road Dogg tries to pick up one of the boxes, but they're obviously not gimmicked. One of them is gimmicked. And it must be like a box of powder or paper or something, because he can't lift it. And I'm like, oh, man.
I could tell by the way when he swung it as well. He was like, kind of realized halfway through, and he only half swung it. And I was like, oh, God, that's the real one.
Yeah, that's the real one. So there obviously was a gimmicked one there, and he just didn't pick that one up.
He just lifted the other one.
So I was like, oh man, if he actually hits him with that, he probably would have really hurt him.
Would have pulled an Alec Baldwin.
Oh jeez. So I mean, even when it hits the ground, like, it hits with some thud. But I thought it was funny. Like, you actually twice. Sorry, I just replayed it. Flying Pete or whatever his name, you see him again, so you see him twice in the same segment, and then the payoff for it is that they cut back to him and he's been like hung up by the Brood. It's like, you've kind of ruined it because we saw you, like. But so in the meantime, in the ring, so remember,
so this whole segment, there's like 3 things happening. Well, this was very confusing.
Yeah, so there's three things happening at once, two of which don't actually really matter. The thing that does matter in the ring happens. It's 18 seconds long, and well, okay, they say it's 1:14. It's 18 seconds long, right? It's a kendo stick match, which
with no announcement,
no announcement, no
bills,
rules, no
just,
nothing, just
it's just happening.
Draws comes out with Steve Blackman, right? And then they're both holding kendo sticks. So, from my understanding of what a kendo stick match is, and modern WWE kendo stick matches are, there's kendo sticks in the ring, and then it's a pinfall, right? No, that's not what a kendo stick match is, Martin. Here's what a kendo stick match is: you hit each other until someone can stand up. It just falls over slightly.
Okay, so how did you find that out? Because that was not at any stage explained.
It was.
When?
It was a throwaway line from Michael Cole.
I completely missed it because I have down in my notes here, how in the name of Christ was there a DQ in a kendo stick match?
It wasn't a DQ match.
I thought it was a DQ.
No, draws won. So what happened was, look, as I said, the match was 18 seconds long, right? I don't blame you for missing it. But no, because I was watching going, what? That's not what a kendo stick match is. I've seen kendo stick matches. No. So the rules for this, they didn't explain beforehand. It's a throwaway line at some point from Michael Cole where he's like, okay, how you win is you got to hit. So they actually explain, no one it happens, right? Tilo is in the ring, isn't he? Teddy Long? Yeah, he's the ref. So Teddy Long gets hit at some point, and then Michael Cole's like, oh, Steve Blackman has won the match because he managed to make Draws fall over, and that's how you win this kendo stick match. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. And then what happens? Draws hits Steve Blackman, and he falls over, and then points to Teddy Long, and that's how the match ends.
Yeah, I was deeply, deeply confused.
Yeah.
By this.
Yeah, but if you actually watch the match beforehand, before Tilo gets hit, it actually doesn't make any sense because Steve Blackman had already made him fall over with a kick. So the match was over before it even started.
And also, what is... So, what, they had 18 seconds of the show that they really needed to fill? What is... I don't get what the purpose of this is.
I had that in my notes too. I was like, this is completely pointless. There was no reason for these lads to be out. I mean, they got paid, obviously, which is grand, fair enough. Good job.
And they're two good wrestlers. So put them in a kendo stick match, give them 5 minutes and have them batter the living shite out of each other. But this just, I didn't understand the rules. I got very annoyed when I thought it ended in a DQ. I accept now that was wrong.
I actually went back and watched why you thought that, because the way it looks, the way it plays out, it does look like it was a DQ. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
but even setting all that aside, I don't understand what the purpose of this was. Like, it's one thing to have a throwaway match just to get guys on the show, or maybe just to remind.
I know what it was.
Crowd.
No, I know what it was. I know why you did it.
But wait. Like, so a throwaway match is one thing, but why a throwaway gimmicked match?
Okay, sorry for interrupting. I mean, that's a
no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Russo wrote it. So that's probably what it was, a gimmick match. But they had to. No, I mean, genuinely, that's probably, he's like, quick, we'll do this. I think the reason why they did it was to obviously get Hardcore and Road Dogg to run to the outside of the arena. You had to buy them time. That's
really good.
Yeah,
that makes complete sense.
And I think what happened was they're like, oh, quick lads, go out and just hit each other with sticks, go.
And remember, that makes complete sense, because this was in the day before WWE shows were 75% advertising.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just cut to another ad. So,
they had no time. They were just like, quick lads, go out and just do something.
That makes total sense.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. If Russo wasn't writing it, probably just would have been a throwaway match. Would have been a match. But because he was like, quick, grab sticks, go.
All right. Draws and Blackman got paid for...
Yeah. There you go. All the lads got paid and they all went home happy. So Why not?
Yeah. What are we complaining about 24 years later?
It's just a bizarre segment that gets undone in a couple of years when we actually see kendo stick matches that have rules. So this
it's just I'm sorry,
sorry, go on.
just
No,
before
go on.
we go on, it is slightly frustrating to see Blackman in this role, because he does have such huge potential to be pushed as, like, maybe not a world champion, but to be pushed as like a really significant, like scary, like heel challenger that you could throw in. I don't know, like I really love him, and I mean it's probably an embarrassment of riches in that WWF at this point has just an unbelievable mid card. Like they have just the most stacked mid card. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I just think maybe more could have been done with Steve Blackman.
The only thing I'll say is the goal was to get everybody on the show and to have everybody do something, and it did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Now the payoff for the hardcore thing, which again is crazy, that was like the biggest angle of the show, because it really was. That was like the biggest thing done on the show, like as far as segment wise. It had the most segments. That was broken. It was broken up then, and it would feed directly into the match we'd get at WrestleMania, which we talk about in 3 more episodes. It's
just weird. Our WrestleMania might actually coincide with WrestleMania.
It might actually.
Yeah.
Then we have one of the best segments, which I've never seen before, and I really enjoyed. The Mean Street Posse, who haven't shown up yet, make their debut in the best segment ever. Rodney and Pete Gas. I don't think Joey Abs is here yet because he's actually not friends with Shane, but Rodney was. And you can actually tell, I think this is the most time that Rodney's ever got on the mic properly, because they haven't been introduced as part of, this is all to hype up Shane going against X-Pac at WrestleMania. And it's brilliant. It's the Main Street Posse were wonderful.
They
were
wonderful.
They were,
I think what was great about them was that they were all guys who had, with the best one in the world, no ambition to be anything else.
My favorite one is where it's just like, you don't want to mess with these guys from Greenwich, Connecticut. We're real tough here, and your man's just like sipping a Starbucks latte, like right. It's just some random guy with a pencil, just like it's brilliant. I'm like, this is just.
Actually, it reminded me of that one of Jerry Lawler's best calls during the 2000 Royal Rumble, the street fight with Cactus Jack and Triple H, and he's going, "This isn't fair, JR. Triple H isn't from the streets. He doesn't know what a street fight is. He's from the mean streets of Greenwich."
Oh, it's wonderful! It's wonderful. So after we come back, moments ago, we see that your man with the 69 on his back has found the other lad, Flying Pete or whatever his name is, hung up, covered in blood, despite the fact that we've already seen him run away from the camera twice, and the impact has kind of been lost. So, sorry, Public Enemy. Or
we're live, pal.
I'm sorry, Public Enemy fans. Yeah, I don't think they were very good. So
I never, look, I watched ECW at the time mainly through whatever kind of VHS tapes and that I could get, so I can't say that I followed the show weekly or even followed the pay-per-views, in order at the time. But I was never overly impressed with Public Enemy. It seemed to be that there were two guys who didn't have much wrestling ability, weren't particularly fit, but were willing to kind of take some hard shots and some hard bumps, and that got them over with a certain fan base.
So out comes Vince, and we're setting up for The Undertaker versus Mankind. We would expect this to be a classic. It was not.
No. Although, so here's what I actually have here. Undertaker, Mankind, another non-finish. Not one of their classics, but decent enough on the night. In that, it's probably the best wrestling match we've seen so far on the show.
And Vince does commentary and actually lets us know that we're going to have Boss Man and The Undertaker at WrestleMania. In a Hell in a Cell.
I am looking forward to that.
So that's how that's announced. It's randomly given away on commentary during a nothing match with Undertaker and Mankind.
It was the 99 WrestleMania. So I would have been 13 when I saw that, and that's scared.
Oh, sorry. So there's this. So I just want to call out the sign here. Tedesco is my bitch. Sexual white chocolate. Sorry, go on. These are the hard camera ones. Sorry, go on.
So I would have been about 13 when I saw the Undertaker Boss Man Hell in a Cell.
Yes.
And that scared the bejesus out of me.
Oh, the hanging.
Oh my God, that really scared the bejesus out of me.
Well, we're going to relive it, pal.
We'll get to it at all, but it's one of those things where people talk about, oh my God, can you remember that? That was so stupid. And I'm like, I don't have that kind of dismissive attitude towards it, because, like I say, I was a child at the time, and at the time that legitimately freaked me out.
So a really sweet one. Someone perfect their love to their girlfriend on the sign. It was nice.
Aww.
Yeah. So, and then there's nice. and it's
also encouraging that in the 90s there were wrestling fans who had girlfriends.
But just above it, there's a white trash sign. So I mean, it gets instantly undone.
Look, at least it's not the out and out homophobia of WCW, where everyone was an F.
There was none of those so far.
Bischoff is an F. Hogan is an F. Everyone was. If you were to go by the signs alone, WCW was one huge gay orgy. Everyone was an F. Sorry, even on the internet show, there's certain words we don't like to.
Yeah, there's certain words we don't say anyway.
Will not be thrown. Like I'll not be repeating line for line Booker T's assertion of Hogan. We're coming for you.
Oh man, Dave, how is the skin? That's one that's behind Vince during this whole situation. I don't know what's going on with these weird people. Like, I really don't know what they're thinking. Inside jokes galore with some of these signs. But so this match comes to an end, and it actually wasn't a bad match. Genuinely, it went on for about 3 minutes.
It's Taker Mankind. Like, they have had some absolutely just genuinely all-time classics.
But here's what's interesting, right? It's down officially in the record books as a countout. It's not. It's a chair shot that actually ends this match. Undertaker wellies him with a chair, and obviously Paul Bearer is distracting the ref. But I mean, they're out there for a long time.
Yeah, fighting. But it's not a DQ. It's just like a non-finish. It's just a
no. Officially, it's a countout.
Okay,
officially, it's a countout. But I'm like, I don't understand how it was a countout and it wasn't a DQ, because like that chair shot was super loud, and the ref is right beside it. So I'm like, how are you missing this? But yeah, Undertaker then actually does beat up Vince for a little while, and Mankind gets the win, despite the fact he doesn't look like a winner at the end of the match when the Undertaker chokeslams him to hell. So it's like, okay, fair enough. But the boss man comes out and actually saves Vince with a couple of well-placed nightstick shots. So our boy, our Bookley himself, the big boss man, coming out and saving the day.
The only cop we like.
Well, he's not a cop. He's like private
That's what
security.
he's initially, if we're to go back to his original gimmick, he's prison. He's a screw. He's a prison guard.
Yeah, but this is the version of Boss Man that we're talking about. The corporate team, private enforcer.
Yeah, so he's private. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Big Boss Man's just the coolest gimmick ever. Like, it really is.
Do you know what? It's like,
the music as well. I mean, the music makes so much.
It's the music, but there's so many like wrestling gimmicks are so weird. You can put your heart and soul into one, and it can completely flop, or you can just sort of stumble across something, and it can be the biggest thing in the world. For me, the Boss Man gimmick is entirely sold by. What, he can really swing that nightstick. Like, he does the flips and the twists and the twirls. It's like, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
He'll give it to you, like, with that. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, if he can twiddle that thing that quickly, imagine how fast he can swing it. You know.
Oh man. So the next match, will we call it a match? It's 29 seconds long, and it's okay. The next thing that happens.
It's 29 seconds long. And it's not even the shortest match on the card.
No. The next thing that happens is a follow-up to Heat. So you know it's good. Just Ivory defeats Deborah. They're both wearing very little. And it's terrible. However, not terrible that they're wearing very little. It's terrible in general. The women are quite beautiful. But, I mean, the wrestling is not beautiful. The wrestling is non-existent. I did really enjoy that when they were coming out to the ring. There's some L1 who's like in the front row, and she's dancing to Jeff Jarrett's music and is properly buckled because she has a massive point, and she's just like having a good time. It's brilliant. And she's like properly dancing. And you're like, you know, that's the way you should watch wrestling. Absolutely off your being. So what happens then is this match also ends by DQ. Because PMS run out and attack Ivory. And that's the end of the match.
That's that. Yep.
That's what
I have down in my notes, Deborah versus Ivory, instant DQ.
It wasn't instant. It was 29 seconds.
29 seconds later. And then underneath it, one finish so far tonight. So we're coming up now to the main event. So far we've had one finish.
And we will only have that one finish. Spoilers alert. So our main event, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane with China, who must win or is going to be kicked out of the corporation. Will he win? The match ends in a no contest in 14 minutes, the longest match of the night, and it's actually quite a good match as well. However, okay, it's a good match until it's not, and then it just kind of evolves into nonsense.
Let me say that the first thing I'll say about it is, so we had a good crack earlier about how everybody is over in this show. Everyone's getting over. The Bronco is getting over.
The crowd is so hot for this one.
The crowd's hot for everything. DX is over. The Divas, even when the Divas are terrible, like they're over. The crowd's loving them. Everything. And I don't think people realize, unless they watch it back then, everything pales in comparison to how over Stone Cold Steve Austin is, because this crowd is hot the whole night, and then that glass smashes, and
nuclear.
Like, you think they couldn't go any higher. Like, they're erupting for stuff. Everton's class, like, they're giving it 90 for stuff, and then Austin comes out, and there's a whole other level they haven't even reached. Like, you'll see it in the pay-per-views and you see it all the time, but it's an average episode of Raw. It's week to week, and he is over to an extent anybody would give their left arm to be over today.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing because I'm rewatching the end of this match, and it's when Kane's going up to the top rope, and it's this really cool spot that's just ruined by this massive pink sign that just says "Mike is gay."
Well, hold on. Like, maybe that was someone's really proud coming out moment. Maybe Mike told.
I don't think it was.
No, maybe...
no. He turns it around and it says Corey 420. So, so I think he was being very economical to make sure he got both his messages across. To like slam his friend Mike.
No, well, maybe I'm going to take a more positive.
You think this is a love story between Corey and Mike?
No, I don't think it's a love story. I think this is a story of bravery and human development. So okay. Mike discovers he's gay.
Right.
And he says, I'm not going to be ashamed of it. And I'm going to declare to the world that I'm gay. And I'm going to declare to the world that I'm gay in one of the most macho arenas that there is. I'm going to go to Raw is War. And I'm going to unveil to the world there and then that I'm gay. But right. Mike is not an idiot. Mike knows that, listen, he might be a proud gay man, but everyone has their limits. So he holds up a sign saying, how's everybody? I'm mad for sausage. and then he turns the sign around and he says, Cody, who is his dealer, I need some weed because this is going to be a long night.
Wow.
I think that's what's happening here. So it's a very proud, open declaration followed by I need a joint.
There you go. I mean, you can see this guy very, very clearly like afterwards. So, maybe that's some deep lore right there. But that moment and that really nice spot is ruined by, a whole other side story. But there you go.
I'll tell you what, though, I will. And it's not often I have love the character. It's not often I have a lot to say great about Kane's in-ring stuff, but man, he really goes for that.
He does, yeah. Look, now,
this is something I have never seen Kane do before or since.
No. You're okay. I'm not going to say much more than that, but you're in for the next 2 years. You're going to see some serious shit with Kane. You haven't even seen him jump off the top of the cage doing that onto Xbox.
What?
Yes, so I'm not going to tell you when it is.
Oh, but brilliant.
It's Kane's work in the next 2 years is unbelievable. So,
well, cool your jets here.
I will. No, I will. I won't say much more than that. But
I'm saying cool your jets because on the one hand, that was awesome. But on the other hand, Kane then engages in an interminable bear hug spot, just a Yokozuna levels of taking a breather, just stood in this bear hug spot for, I didn't time it, but it felt anywhere between 20 to 25 minutes.
The thing that I had in my notes where I had to bring out, not so much the bear hug spot, it wasn't really on Kane, because Kane's role here was to just be the monster and he was doing it. Austin picks up this.
Maybe it was an ad.
Austin picks up this chair, right? And remember, this was not a no DQ match. I don't know when this match got thrown out, but he picks up this chair and he hits him with the worst chair shot I've ever seen. Two of them. So this little tap. It's like tap, tap. And you're like, Austin, what are you doing? Hit him with the chair. And because it was one of the padded chairs, it wasn't even like a proper steel chair. It was one of the other. Hit him with the chair. Come on. We saw what the hardcore guys did. They couldn't wait to get hit with chairs. The three of them hit each other with chairs for no reason. So if that's what the hardcore guys are doing, come on, go on, hit him with the chair. And you're just, it's silly. It's silly. But so I think this match got thrown out. Actually, I don't know when this match got thrown out. They didn't say. I don't think the bell rang.
Yeah. Again, it was a lot of this show was very kind of fast and loose with
rules,
with rules and endings and stuff like that. What I did enjoy was, not enjoy, but it was a question I wanted to ask you.
Go on.
So after the
hold on 1 second. So Yeah, okay. So the match actually doesn't end. Paul White walks into the ring, hits Kane, which should be a DQ. So, but then Austin did hit Kane with the chair. So the match just kind of ends and Austin walks away. So that's the end of the match, folks. Paul White is the reason this match ended. Ask your question. Sorry.
No, so there's a spot, like it's hard to say if it's actually after the match or during the match, but there's a spot where one of them holds up Austin.
Yes.
Is it Paul White holds him up, or Kane holds him up and
Kane.
Paul White goes? Yeah, so Kane holds him up and Paul White goes to hit him and Austin ducks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's my question.
Go on.
Has the holding up spot in all of wrestling history ever worked?
Yes. Yes.
So there has been a situation where it resulted in anything other than the person moving.
Yes, if it's not the key babyface. And if it's in WCW, it absolutely works because Hogan has the NWO holding up somebody. So,
okay.
It worked all the time in WCW because those baby faces weren't winning. But WWE, no.
My favorite version of it in WCW is, I think it's during the it's World War III. Is that the one where they had the big cage?
Yes.
And it's Lex Luger's in the ring and Macho Man's in the ring and Flair's in the ring. And is it Lex Luger? So Flair is holding Macho Man and Lex Luger goes to punch Macho Man. And Macho Man ducks and Lex Luger stops and then remembers he's supposed to accidentally hit Flair. So he kind of stops and then rears up again and then hits him and sells it as an accident. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, Lord. Well, look, next week we have the 8th, so March 8th edition. It looks like we're going to have to watch Heat, actually, because apparently some stuff happened on Heat, so we might have to watch Heat as well to kind of really catch what's going on. I'm still shocked that Paul White got such a massive push, and then his year is weird. I mean, I'm going to ask everybody to just remember the Paul White impact he has, and then you'll see where it goes. It's weird to watch this with some kind of, in the new Marvel movie, Kang is like, the thing about time is you know how it ends, and that's how I feel doing this show sometimes. I'm like, I know how it ends, so I want to skip, and I'm just like, oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm actually intrigued to see the sort of the moment where Paul White becomes the Big Show.
Yeah, it's going to happen soon. So look, we'll keep an eye on it. Obviously, because we're gonna watch this through. This was one of the most interesting episodes of Raw I've ever seen because, one, I totally didn't know a lot. Is the fact the Road Dogg had a WWF Championship match. Still,
it's amazing.
It's just incredible. I mean, fair play, man. You earned that, and then you went back and took a rake of chair shots to the head. Good job. Martin, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here, or are you happy enough with your earlier
No,
plug?
man, I'm just really, I'm sitting here, I'm licking my lips. I can't wait for my big weekend of Metroid Prime.
Unreal.
Oh, I don't know how I'm going to sleep. I'm like a kid the night before Christmas.
Well, Rampage is on in a bit, isn't it?
Oh, don't tempt me. God, could I sit up? No, it doesn't come on till 3 a.m. here. No, that's ridiculous.
No.
I have training tomorrow at 11. I couldn't.
I know. You need to go up and be sharp for that. But folks, listen, we will probably Elimination Chamber is going to be next, so we're going to be looking at that, covering that. I mean, that's happened tomorrow, so I mean that's weird. Not today.
It is.
It's happening today.
And I'll be honest with you, Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn's the only thing I have any interest in.
It feels really soon, man. I mean, I know they have to get it out of the way before WrestleMania, but it's like he wasn't, like, okay, I'll put it this way.
I think Cody had main event WrestleMania written into his contract.
Yeah.
And even when Sami Zayn got mega over,
yeah,
there was no getting around that. So I think that's why this is happening.
I think so too. I'll be honest with you, though, I have no appetite to watch it, but we will. I kind of just want to watch
the main event. Like I'll watch.
Yeah, the main event would be good. Main event would be good. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I just don't think that there needs to be a pay-per-view between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania.
Unless it's something like St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Oh, it was good though. Yeah.
Which was very good. Yeah. You know, if there's a reason for it, just having it just to have it is. I agree with you. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But look, at least we have 1999.
Listen, whatever's going on in the world, we'll always have 1999.
You know?
And if we don't, we'll always have 98 and 97
and 2000 and 2001.
2000. God, it was such a good period, wasn't it?
It was so brilliant. And again, guys, this show exists because of you. Well, not really exists because, you know, we like to watch this, but it does exist because of you guys as well. So we do appreciate it when you guys join in and check it out as well. Please go over to thewrestlingrewind.com, nerdtoknowmedia.com, and you'll be able to, like, you know, say hey and all that good stuff as well. So we will be back next week to talk about.
And we are, as of tonight, as of midnight tonight, US time, we are taking pre-orders on our Wrestling Fan Signs of the 90s coffee book.
That's happening. We're absolutely going to do that. It's not a joke like the Patreon. This is like a real thing, which we're absolutely going to do.
Yeah, it's not a joke like the Patreon. It's a real thing like the OnlyFans. So
isn't that a threat?
That's well. Listen, I never joke when I make threats.
I never joke when I make. Well, we'll open up pre-orders. Although for signs like that one there during the Kane spot, you'll have to like do detailed like.
Oh, we'll have
lore.
A backstory. And then for some of the WCW signs, we'll have like maybe like a tasteful kind of like frosted glass, like plastic sheet over them. You can unveil it if you want. It'll have like a trigger. It'll have a trigger warning on it.
Oh man, we should get Mark Madden to write the forward.
Oh my God, I didn't even know he could write.
Oh God, I love it. So yeah, guys, if you want us to do that, please do. You know, like the Facebook page and all that kind of good stuff as well. But we'll be back next week here on the Wrestling Rewind. Bye, guys.
Keep her lit.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.